I'm just currently on a high that I don't know how to come down from, but it's such a great feeling. Hey, welcome back to the party, everybody. My name's Jaren, and welcome to my spoiler-free review of Spider-Man No Way Home. Thank you to Marvel Studios. I was able to see it a couple days early to provide a review to you guys, and I am beyond ecstatic to talk about this movie, but I will say I'm gonna keep it pretty short and sweet because there is so much spoilerific stuff filled throughout this movie that I don't want to ruin the experience in any way. So I'm just gonna give my general thoughts, my first reaction to watching the movie. But right off the bat, I'll just say I really enjoyed this movie. In my mind, there's no way that this is not going to be the biggest movie of the year just because of all the speculation, the hype, the build-up surrounding it since it was first announced. Heck, even since that post-credit scene at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home. There was a lot riding on this movie, and ultimately, even though I had a few theories myself, I just wanted to go in and have a good time. I wanted to see a film that I felt was well put together and enjoyable, and for me, that's what I got here. Spider-Man is my all-time favorite character, so as long as you do him justice, I'm going to be satisfied. And as someone who wasn't a fan whatsoever of Spider-Man Far From Home, I wasn't sure. I was pretty hesitant whether or not I was going to like this movie, but obviously you always go in with high hopes, and I gotta say, my expectations were exceeded, and I was just constantly sitting there in awe of just how much fun I was having. In my opinion, this is the best Marvel Cinematic Universe Spider-Man film that we have gotten yet. This is also the best portrayal of Peter Parker that I've ever seen from Tom Holland. He finally got that individuality that I've wanted from the character since his introduction into the universe. Yes, I think Homecoming is great. I love him in Civil War, Infinity War, his short time in Endgame, but I've been waiting for him to sort of just branch out on his own and have a story that is very self-contained, and I feel like they really deliver on that here. All of the emotions are in full effect here as you see him trying to navigate through life after the events of Far From Home, keeping intact his relationships, going to school, just living out his life the best way he possibly can. And obviously, as you've seen from the trailers, he runs into some trouble. There's a lot of villains in this movie, and there's been a case for many Spider-Man films in the past where it's been hard to really balance the villain problem to where they all feel like they've made a significant impact without taking away from the actual plot of the story. Here, I feel like it was so well done. Now, it's not perfect, but for the most part, all of the screen time we get from these villains is so well rewarded. I love the way that the plot unfolds. There are so many twists and turns that you would never see coming from a mile away. It's just so impossible to predict the direction that the film goes on, and I think that's what works so well, is that it keeps you on your toes, it keeps you guessing, but it almost always delivers. Also, for a movie that is 2.5 hours long, it moves at such a brisk pace. There's never a moment that's not entertaining, that's not engaging. It constantly is going, and always building to the next thing while still making you feel satisfied, like you got enough development in a certain area before they move on to the next. It's just got a great pace and a great feel to it. I love the way that it was put together, the way it was edited. It's just all so well constructed that it makes for a very easy watch. My mind was racing all over the place beforehand just with the anticipation, and afterwards, even if all of my expectations weren't met the way that I thought they would be, the film had a clear direction it wanted to go in, and I felt like it was so satisfying that in the end I couldn't help but just be overjoyed. Now, it's not perfect. It's not the best Spider-Man movie ever made, but it definitely might become one of my absolute favorites just because there was a lot of meat there. But I will say that, like I mentioned earlier about the villain problem, while this one does a lot better job than films like Spider-Man 3 did, or even The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I feel like the problem with having this many villains in a movie is that in this case, it's not like there was anything inherently wrong with the characters. I just wanted more from some of them, and that's not a terrible problem to have, but I do feel like there could have been a little bit more fleshing out in certain areas of the script. There were a couple times where I felt like the priorities were skewed on where to place the focus for a certain period of time, and there were other times where I felt like it needed to be expanded and developed upon a little bit more. And while Tom Holland's Peter really does have the biggest opportunity yet to really show his chops and expand his character growth, having all of the different Easter eggs and villains from all the previous franchises within this movie does feel at times like they're focusing more on the fan service than developing a singular story. They still are able to do both, but there are moments where I feel like, okay, this could have been a little bit better if the actual plot of this film was fleshed out more and less reliant on all of the films that came before it. While there are many other things that I absolutely loved and many other things that I did have an issue with, I can't really get into those without going into spoilers, which I promised I would not do. Everything you've heard from me is extremely vague as I could possibly be, because I want you guys to go watch this movie and just see it with fresh eyes and get the full experience yourself when it comes out in theaters this week. But with all that being said, I'm gonna have to give Spider-Man No Way Home an 8.5 out of 10. So make sure to let me know down below in the comments, what is your hype level on a scale from 1 to 10? Also tell me, what is your craziest theory for Spider-Man No Way Home? I'd love to hear it. Now, while I see it, I can't confirm nor deny, but I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for the continuous support. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notifications, because coming up, there's going to be an overload of Spider-Man and Marvel content, so you do not want to miss it. But until next time, I'll see y'all later. Peace out.